Make sure we have Tanmay in English.
I think it is. Yeah, I got there and it was in English.
Okay.
Okay.
We're good?
Yeah, I think we're good. I guess I think we'll go ahead and start with the introduction. Good morning, everyone. My name is Amy Rivera. I'm the Director of Communications for Nonprofit Westchester, and you're here for our AI Adoption Plan, which is the third program in the AI nonprofit series that we have in Nonprofit Westchester. The first program was more of an intro to AI. Many of you probably attended. It was an in-person session where we also had a Do Fest. Our second program was virtual, and it was about techniques for tailoring AI prompts. And finally, we're working on this last program today, mostly about integrating AI into your organization. So I'm so thankful and honored to have our friends at RoundTable back with us, Kim Snyder and Joshua Peskay. Thank you so much for being back here with us and leading this program. Next slide.
Pleasure.
For those of you who don't know who we are, we're Nonprofit Westchester. We're the county's sole membership organization solely dedicated to strengthening the nonprofit sector. We love what we do. We're about 300 plus strong members. And second slide, next slide. And really, I think we all know this, we can't do the work we do without you guys. With 300 plus strong members, we are only strong together, stronger together. So I would really encourage anybody who hasn't joined already to join. Part of this is the benefits of the AI program, but we have many other benefits for our members. Thank you. Next slide. Thank you so much to our series sponsors. We have Westchester County Board of Legislators, Brown & Brown Insurance, CMIT Solutions, and Mercer. Thank you so much, who have been sponsors for this entire series. And of course, we want to give a little shout out to all of our sponsors, our agency sponsors. We can't do the work that we do without them and making this series possible. So thank you so much. And I think that's pretty much on my end. I'll let you have it, Kim.
Sure thing. And it's so wonderful to see RoundTable on that list now. So we're happy to be sponsors of Nonprofit Westchester. So, okay. So at the very beginning, I asked how many people are, we should do a 1 second introduction. Kim Snyder, RoundTable Technology, VP of Data Strategy. And with me is my longtime colleague, Joshua
Peskay, and my title is 3CPO, which I'm happy to explain if anyone cares. But basically, I just do what Kim tells me.
We'll see about that. Anyway, so I'm going to just do a brief recap because we're aware that not everyone was here for the first 2 sessions. So while we cannot replay the first 2 sessions because we have other things to cover today, I just want to touch upon some important points that we covered the last time. And this is where, Josh, we may rely on your annotation skills as I talk this through. But one of the things to understand about AI and why it's so kind of explosive right now, and this is this term exponential growth, has indeed been the case even within the AI development itself. We can look at exponential growth and see how much technology has moved things forward and how much, incredible growth with increasing power of computers as well as increasing amounts of data that's available, that this has all led to this kind of exponential explosion in AI, and it kind of came on the scene and wow, it's here. And so we just wanted to give a little context to that and to say that, AI has been around, and it's early stuff that we're started actually in the 80s with zip code recognition, right, for the Post Service. That was the first kind of image recognition, but then, or it was handwriting recognition actually in the early days. And then we started to see speech recognition. And you can see these kind of have a slower up curve, though handwriting recognition, they got pretty good pretty fast. That's how I decipher those zip codes. Speech recognition took a while. That line, that 0 point line, is kind of human performance and, human capability at just the skill. It's not human thinking, it's human kind of ability to do these very specific skills. So as we can see, speech image is where things really started to take off. Okay, when image recognition came, that started to come with Google, and folks like Fei Li were big in that and kind of moving that forward. And then the last few years, what we started to see, you see the line goes practically straight up, and with language understanding, and that's a lot of what we're experiencing today with the rise of natural language processing capabilities like ChatGPT and Gemini and Copilot and tools like that. It's the language understanding has shot up exponentially. But it's important to understand that these have all been building off of each other over a few decades now. So anything else about that one, Josh?
I don't know if I want to terrify people or not, but like there's
Uh-oh.
yeah, let me see if I can pull it up really quick. Hang on one second. I gotta turn off my annotator and then drag this over here. Let me see if I can find this real quick. Give me 1 second. So yeah, let's pull this out. And let's kill the annotator.
Not showed me this, so it's going to terrify all of us probably.
Yeah, and so what we're looking at here is, people have probably heard of the Turing test, and I'll make this a little larger. And this just came out very recently, this report, let's see, May 28th, 2024. It was just published yesterday. And they basically did a bunch of work with submitting coursework using ChatGPT, the most current version, actually the previous version of ChatGPT. And I'm looking for the data specifically, maybe I can just find it, but basically that the professors were able to detect AI presented papers across a whole range. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so if we read here, I can blow this up even more. Okay, just to give you a sense of this exponential growth. Okay, so they submitted examinations across 5 undergraduate modules across psychology, clinical language sciences, and so forth. Make markers of these exams. These are undergraduate universities, okay? We're unaware that they were being submitted. 94% of AI submissions, even though we used AI in the most detectable way possible. So all they did was basically ask the AI to write the paper and then submit it as is. No human things after that. So again, only 6% were detected and these are college professors grading these papers. And in 83.4% of the instances, the grades achieved by AI submissions were higher than a random selection of the same number of student positions. This is in the last couple of months. So to give you a sense of just how fast these things are getting really good, they are meaningfully better than undergraduate students across a range of topics now. So sorry to terrify everybody, but there we go.
They have no soul. Okay. Yeah. So here's another way of looking at that: frogs. And that's a frog theme because we used a lily pad metaphor in the first class on exponential growth. So you will see a fair number of frogs today. That's why. But let's look at frogs from March 2022. This is Midjourney. This is an AI image creation tool, right? So it's natural language processing. Even though it's making images, it's understanding my text prompts and making an image from it. March 2022, that's just
FYI, 99.7% of college art professors did recognize this as an AI frog in March 2022. So.
I'd like to meet the 0.1 that didn't. But so yeah, so that's March 2022. Put frog into Midjourney, that's what you get. And then April, July, we're getting a little froggy. Suddenly something happened, November 2022, right? It started looking pretty froggy. And then now today's frog, the March 2024 frog, so this is just 2 years. March 2024 frog, I think it looks more real than the actual frog. So go figure. So that's, and that's a National Geographic frog. Okay. So another thing, so we're just highlighting key concepts. We want you to understand the pace of growth. The other thing that's important for us, especially with Josh showing us that stuff about college student papers, for anyone who's freaking out, well, this could blow your mind more or put you at ease. I'm not sure. But it's important to remember that while we talked back and forth with tools like ChatGPT and Copilot, it's not thinking. All right. What's incredible is what it's doing under the scenes. It's actually probabilistic statistics, as you will hear Tanmay Bakshi, who's one of the, I guess he's 20 by now, right, Josh? We met him last year, he was 19.
Yeah, 20 or 21, yeah.
Yeah, and so he's, been this child, he's making apps at the age of 5. Anyway, so he explains a probabilistic AI in a way, like what AI is, in a way that I still feel is one of the most clear. So it's a very short video, and if you, weren't in the previous classes, and even if you were, it's worth listening to again.
Oh, it'd be helpful if I played the video, right?
Yeah.
Say if you ask ChatGPT, what's AI going to do in the future, right? The way that ChatGPT generates a response for you is actually really interesting. It's effectively just entirely statistical language modeling. Given a sentence or given some sort of prefix, GPT's entire goal, its entire objective, is simply to take those words and predict of all the tokens in its known vocabulary, the probability of any one of those tokens being the actual genuine next token in the sequence. That's all that GPT is doing. What you're seeing right now is a genuine visualization of the way that GPT, specifically GPT-2, would generate a response. It is simply taking words and predicting the probabilities of which word will come next.
Okay, so it's probabilistic statistics, right? As we switch to you, we're just, again, giving a very high-level flyover overview of some of the things we covered. So Josh?
Yeah.
This
And one of the things is like about the probabilistic statistical modeling is that's why we sort of get strange results sometimes, why they can be bad at math, because probabilistic statistics aren't great when you want to know what 1 + 1 is. So that's why you sort of get some strange results, but it turns out to be very powerful. Anyway, so on the free side, we've got ChatGPT. Actually, this is already outdated, so you can now use 4.0 for free, or 4.0, which is one of the more powerful models. Claude, which now has Sonnet 3.5, actually is outperforming GPT-4o in most things. And this is one of the things we're seeing, is that particularly these two companies are leapfrogging each other quite regularly, leapfrogging, very intentional pun with our frog theme, around who gets better with any given release of their products, right? And they'll be better at different things. So in terms of just writing and language analysis and language comprehension, right now, the Claude Sonnet 3.5, which you can use for free, is considered the most powerful and capable model. The one they were using in that study with the professors, by the way, was GPT-4o. So the earlier version than what was even available now. So then you get into paid versions, and I would say there are two main benefits you're getting when you move to paid versions. One is that you can use it more. So the way that they're using the freemium model with most of them nowadays, whether you have a limited number of time you can use it, a limited number of requests you can make, or you don't have access to the more powerful model, they're giving you a less powerful model in terms of the free version. When you move to paid, you get two benefits in most cases. One is you get more use, in a given day, you get more powerful models. But the bigger one is that with some of them, you get data protection, meaning they're not using the data that you are submitting to retrain their model, which is if you want to use it with organizational data, with names, phone numbers, data from your systems or proprietary information, that's really important to understand. So that's kind of what's out there. And if anyone has questions, feel free to let us know. I'm not sure. I haven't checked my timing chart yet. So there's been a lot around prompt engineering. Kim and I have in fact taught a couple of courses on prompt engineering. I'm going to say right here that prompt engineering is overrated as a skill, and will get more overrated and irrelevant as time goes on. The reason is largely the best way to learn how to prompt these models is by asking them, how do I work with you to achieve this task that I want? And I would say the most powerful prompt engineering is one of the most powerful skills in general, which is the ability to articulate clearly what problem it is you're working on and what success looks like for you. The more clearly you can articulate what it is you're trying to achieve, the better a large language model can help you with that. It's that dead simple. I don't know, Kim, if you disagree with a word of that, but
totally agree. And so this is what I say to an audience of nonprofits. So when you think about AI in terms like prompt engineering, actually, and we talk about this in that class, you can see the full video is available on that from Nonprofit Westchester. But when, terms like prompt engineering kind of make it seem more techy. This is not a technical skill using these tools. This is a question asking and language skill of your own.
And I would say a thinking skill, like how clearly can you think and like work with a thought partner that is a language model, right? To help solve a problem. Sorry about that. Just dropped my water bottle. Anyway, go ahead, Kim. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's you.
Oh, okay. All right. So AI is an assistant. It is not a coworker. It does not think for itself, not yet. We'll get into agentive AI where you put agents, but even then, they're not really thinking for themselves. They're following what in computer science is referred to as an objective function. If you want to understand an objective function as clearly as you can, go watch The Sorcerer's Apprentice from Fantasia and watch Mickey Mouse cast a spell on a broom to carry water. The objective function in that instance is to carry water from point A to point B. And the broomstick does that incredibly well, in fact, too well. And so the castle ends up entirely flooded with water. So agents are where you'll basically be Mickey Mouse. We're all going to be Mickey Mouse, the Sorcerer's Apprentice, creating broomsticks to do tasks for us, and hopefully having better outcomes than Mickey had in that particular Fantasia episode. So it is an assistant, not a coworker. And as an assistant, you must give it clear instructions and give it feedback on whether it's doing what you want or not. I find that at least half of the benefit, and maybe more, that I get out of regularly working with these AI tools is it forces me to think more clearly about what it is I'm trying to achieve. And that when the outcome is not what I want, I have no one to blame but myself, right? If I ask Kim to do something and she gives me something that isn't what I want, I can be, Kim, she doesn't know what she's doing, right? But with the AI, I can't do that. It's just me, giving instructions and having to do that. So yeah, and it might, in the probabilistic sense, it might tell you something that's completely wrong. I sometimes refer to them as inveterate mansplainers. They will sound just as confident as when they are correct as when they are incorrect. And so you must validate outputs, just like when someone like me tells you something. So anyway, all right. Is this still me, Kim?
Yeah.
Image generation, I think people generally understand pretty well. It's a very lovely use case. I think it's one of the more fun, as you can see from a lot of Kim's images in these presentations, can be very useful. There are things that image generation is really bad at right now. Examples are infographics or images with words or charts or workflow diagrams. It's really good at like creating a sort of beautiful image of a frog or, a bunch of people playing on a playground or things like that. When you start to get a little bit more specific, like I want a workflow diagram doing this to that, it's going to do terribly on those kinds of things. A lot of different image systems out there. All right, Kim.
Yeah, everyone seems to want an infographic, like when we teach classes where we'll kind of do stuff for people like on the fly. Everyone wants an infographic and they're the worst. They don't even, there's not like gibberish. All right, so let's talk about a continuum of AI adoption.
I haven't seen this image before, Kim. That's fantastic, by the way.
Oh, this?
Not seen this image before. That is really good.
So yeah, so this is just to let you know, and I think if you clicked, it'll do a circle around the ones on the left. Yeah. Okay, so the tools that we're really talking about today and the things that have exploded on the scene are what we're calling the three things on the left: generative AI products, ChatGPT, Claude free, right? Also, there's the premium versions, as Josh was saying, and then there's enterprise solutions, and that comes folks who have Microsoft or have Copilot. That's also in your enterprise if you use it through your login, right? They also have a free one if you're not logged in on your work account. So these are all, and the enterprise solutions are offer the privacy option, but the Microsoft Copilot one doesn't save your prompts, so it's They just kind of, that's one way it stays private. But there's also other types of AI, and in some ways, these ones to the next ones over, AI powered applications, they've been around a little longer. Just that a lot of organizations, a lot of nonprofits have not used these kinds of tools so much, but things like Salesforce has had Einstein in it, so there's not, and they're not newly coming onto the scene. What they are doing, tools like Salesforce and Classy and things like that a lot of nonprofits use, is they're infusing even more AI and this generative capability into the tools. And there's also some organizations that are doing build your own. And when they talk about, oh, we're making AI, or we're making a chatbot for our website, you're at that end, you're more into the custom developed applications for your organization, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. You want to think about things like risk and benefit and also complexity of task. So the term AI is very general. A lot of what people mean today when they say it is the stuff on the left, but it's not only that, right? So I just want to make that clear. And in terms of an adoption journey, a lot of organizations, I suspect, are kind of over toward the left in the exploration and experimentation zone. And I think we do in a little bit later in the presentation, in the next slide, actually, we asked where people are, but so this is early days still. It's new. Some organizations, I was working with the group, they haven't really tried it. They're like, some people are like, I'm not sure about this. I have too many questions about it. Okay, so then once an organization starts to adopt it, though, and it goes beyond one or two people, using it and exploring it, then they kind of start to use it more at the departmental level and see, what can these tools do for us? What kinds of tasks are they good at, right? And then as you move along the adoption continuum, you start to think about, okay, let's more systematically look at how we can augment certain kinds of tasks using natural language processing, AI tools to help us be more productive or help us get to a first draft faster, and there's a whole host of kind of uses, and we will kind of help you start to think about and brainstorm those. Later, as you go further along the continuum, and the turtle is there because those things take longer and they need to be more intentional, and they're involved and they require investment. But once you start to get into application development and building your own, then you've built something that needs to be maintained. I don't know if anyone heard about the chatbot that New York City released on their website a few months ago, and it gave misinformation around labor questions. Whoops. It's a probabilistic model, and that clearly hadn't been tested enough, right? I tested a model out for the Project Management Institute for answering project management questions. Is it always right? No, you have to verify. So anyway, as you get further down the continuum, this is greater levels of complexity. But we do see, there will come a time, and as we kind of move forward in this AI journey, it's going to become more and more embedded, as time goes on. But right where we are now, exploration, experimentation, and expansion, which is where I think is a very healthy and good place. And if one of the people we follow, Ethan Malik, and we have some links to his stuff later that we'll drop in, says if AI stopped improving where it is today, people would be able to get so much more done. If it didn't get any better, that's not going to happen, but so just for context. So I think that's it. Anything for you, Josh, on that?
No, I think I want to. I have things to say around this, but we'll talk about it as we go on. And we have the Jamboard next, so I think we'll get to that.
Okay.
So let's so I've got the link in the chat. By the way, I dropped that link about the NYC chatbot in there for folks. So let's go join this Jamboard. So here's how this works. So you can just grab one of these little dot fellas. Just grab it in the middle. You'll be able to drag it wherever you want. And we just want you to identify where your organization is right, in your AI journey. So I would probably put RoundTable here, and you can plop it above, below, wherever you want. We just want to sort of see where the dots kind of aggregate. And for anyone who's feeling, bad about this for your organization or, other things, I will point out that every company and organization from Fortune 500s on down are struggling with how to integrate AI as a part of their strategy. So the refrain among like CEO after CEO and executive director after executive director is, I hear all this about AI. I feel like we should be doing something, but I don't know what it is we're supposed to be doing. And it's been very interesting at RoundTable, which we consider a fairly agile and innovative organization. And we're about a 40-person technology, right? Kim and I have been using AI actively for going on 3 years now. We've been teaching AI like at least once a week to some audience for going on 2 years now. And other than Kim and I would say RoundTable is still struggling to really use AI in an integrated way in any organized fashion. I'm sure that individuals are using it to do different tasks, but other than Kim and I don't think there's any organized effort. And we have an AI intern this summer, and that's probably the first organized effort we've had to identify problems that we think can be solved effectively and inexpensively using AI. An example is our sales team said it'd be really useful to know about information technology job postings at nonprofits in the US, and to have some, basic information about who the nonprofit is, whether they fall in our target market, and who we would contact to see if they're interested in RoundTable filling that need instead of a full-time employee. And we've, in about a month, successfully automated scraping that off LinkedIn and delivering it to our sales team in a nice little concise report once a week. But it took a lot of doing, way more than I would have thought to get that done. So yeah, and I can see that our RoundTable dot, even though I feel like I'm very frustrated that we're not way further along than we are, we're still further along than most, which is exactly what I expected. Does anyone in the audience have anything they want to say on this before we go back to our deck? Or any questions at this stage? Everyone should know I do. When I ask a question, I count 7 in my head. This is like something I was taught at one point. You have to wait 7 seconds before you interrupt. Go ahead, Kim.
I was going to thank everyone for participating. We always. Oh, Amy.
Oh, Amy's here. Well, Amy, you're like you should talk about how it's going in your organization. You're like our shining star, and I imagine, you're probably struggling too, right? If you want to say anything, Amy and I did a presentation together probably almost a year ago at this point, where she was talking about distributing a policy. Amy, is there anything you're comfortable saying in this group?
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
We can, yeah.
Great.
Good morning. I guess good to see you guys. I agree that it can be lopsided, and that's what I was trying to get to in the chat. And I think maybe often it's lopsided where its staff are further ahead and want to push forward, and a leader is lagging, but the other direction is also rough. And so where the leader's pushing ahead and folks are like, wait, what do we do now? Is also really challenging, because this change is just like a different change than any other change. Learning, as you guys have been saying, learning how to use this kind of a tool with all of the open possibilities that there could be, it's a really different thing to approach. So just naming that, I could put dots probably across almost this entire spectrum based on who I'm thinking of at my organization, with the leader being pretty far over to the right. And that's been a little tricky for us.
Oh,
absolutely.
Their leaders to the right, because usually what I hear from folks is that the leader kind of is maybe not on the chart yet. Like,
yeah, no, in our case, the
Yeah.
leader's very much pushing forward, and folks are trying to catch up.
Oh boy, okay, interesting.
I think it's impossible. Like the more I continue to use AI and sort of see how it impacts work and everything, and Amy, you can tell me if you agree or disagree with this. I just think it's impossible to overstate how different of a tool artificial intelligence is to anything else that we've sort of that has disrupted us in the past. So for example, if we look at like social media and that how disruptive that was to the way people marketed and campaigned, especially nonprofits, and how it was pretty straightforward how social media would be used to kind of get additional reach, right? And either create donations or create, support movements or other things like that. So while it was complicated and people had to figure out strategies of how do we integrate this within our other online stuff, it was the same thing that you were trying to do. It's like, how do we get more reach, get more donations, get more attention to our issues, things like that. With AI, like it's not a tool you use that way. And it's I think that's part of why people are really struggling. It's like, this is an incredibly powerful thing, but what do I do with it? Like, yeah. So thank you, Amy. All right, let's get back to our slide deck here. All right. Oh, we've got some annotations that got. I wonder if I can clear those. I should be able to clear those, right? I can. Yay. Okay. Cool. I didn't even know the audience could annotate. That's great. All right. Assessing risk and benefit. All right. We're a little behind now. Shocking. So we're going to cruise a little bit. So when we think about using AI, right, Kim and I are very like, we operate in the risk world. Kim's a data privacy person. I'm a cybersecurity person. We're both on the governance risk and compliance team at RoundTable. We do governance risk and compliance for clients. So we think about risk all the time. Risk is a double-sided coin. Okay. A lot of people think risk and they think I'm trying to avoid a bad thing happening. That is the wrong way to think about risk. Okay, that is one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is, what are the risk of not doing something and not getting a benefit, right? The risk of running is that I could get run over by a car and I could get an injury, I could hurt my knee. The risk of not running is that I will get obese and right? There are risks on both sides of doing things and not doing things. And it's really important to understand that. So when you think about AI and think about it, what are the benefits that we could get from it? And there's a lot of different kinds of benefits we can get. And Kim and I like to think of return on investment as broadly defined kind of 4 broad areas, which is sort of more stuff, improving operations, getting better insights, right? Or sometimes risk reduction, or in this case, expanded capacity, right? So there are these kind of categories of benefit. All right. And then with risks, okay, there are these kind of 4 categories you can kind of think about stuff. What are the people, which is what Amy and a lot of us are talking about, which is you're getting resistance from some places, you're getting pushed too much in other, from other places. I think the privacy and data exposure is the most immediate and apparent risk to people who want to use these tools. If your staff do not understand that they cannot just take a bunch of, data about donors and plop it into some random, LLM without potentially causing a data breach, that is the biggest risk you probably have right now. And then the other one is just not understanding that the mansplaining problem, which is that they could just, barf out garbage, and then you will distribute that garbage thinking it's real, and that's a problem. And you see this with the New York City chatbot, with the National Eating Disorders chatbot, with the lawyer who got 8 cases that he cited in a case, and they were all made up by chat. Like, there's countless examples of people just stepping wrong with this, right? And then I think that where it gets a little bit more complex is around some of the bias issues. And you can go read, I forget her name, Erin something. She has a whole blog and a whole thing called Chat Black GPT, where she sort of posts instances of, as a sort of Black woman in America, the responses she gets from ChatGPT to certain challenges she has just aren't right for her and are not appropriate, because these systems are designed largely by young white men, and the models are trained largely on data from young white men. And there's another author, Dr. Joy Belmini, who has a wonderful book on this called Unmasking AI, where she calls that pale male data. And so that obviously is not representative of all populations. And so when you're getting advice or responses from these systems, that's an important thing to understand. But that is much more nuanced, okay, than just understanding something that's totally bogus or causing a data breach. All right. So as we think about using it, okay, we can go from like kind of least complex and kind of simple benefits to more risky. And the benefit actually kind of tends to go up here as well as we go up into the right. Okay, so at the lower end is the stuff we're talking about generative AI. So if I want to just go write something, the risk is relatively low. I have it write something, I can read it, I can determine if that makes sense or not. I can, do it, writing the college paper, these kinds of things, pretty straightforward. And these systems are incredibly good at that right now. We take a little bit step up in terms of complexity and risk is data analysis, all right, and document analysis. So I give it a 100-page PDF and I say, tell me if there are any rules in here that my organization would be in violation of. It's pretty good. These systems, especially the high-performing ones, Claude Sonnet and ChatGPT, they're pretty accurate at this and they're going to be pretty good. But you still have to validate this stuff. Where it gets even more exciting is you throw data in there. I can throw in like 6 disparate CSV files that I pulled from different systems and say, tell me if there's anything about these 3 different data sets that you can correlate and then give me reports on. And it will do it. And it will do it incredibly well. But again, it can also do it incredibly wrong. And you're not going to know the difference unless you go validate. Okay. It can even clean data for you. It can even infer data for you. You can say, hey, I've got this spreadsheet, but like 20% of this particular field, that says where the zip code the person lives in is blank. Can you infer the zip code for all the ones that are blank? And if you're 90% or more confident, just fill it in for me. And it'll do it. It's like really, really amazing, some of the things you can do with this. For those of us that, Amy and Kim and I that have been dealing with data sets and bad data and nonprofits for years, this is like, oh my God. Okay. But again, huge amounts of risk. And then where it really gets exciting is the Mickey Mouse Sorcerer's Apprentice thing, where you're talking about agentive AI and actual automation, where I give the agent a goal to achieve. So I put a chatbot on my website and I say, your goal is to convert people to subscribe to our newsletter. So someone comes onto our website, if they're hovering over there for 5 seconds, start a conversation with them. See if you can get them to, subscribe to our newsletter. Really powerful, really incredible stuff. I can think of 1,000 ways that could go horribly wrong. Like, I don't put parameters around it. Amy's browsing our website and it says, Amy, I've looked up the names of your kid and your address, and I'm going to come visit you if you do not subscribe to our newsletter, right? So you really, really need to be careful about these things, okay? But incredibly powerful stuff. All right, so let's, is this another Jamboard, Kim? Are we jumping into
Yes,
this?
well, actually, it's another Jamboard, but it's a Jamboard for you to just show kind of thinking about benefit and complexity in this on this grid. Later on, we'll do one with.
Okay. So this is just me kind of showing them. Is that one here? There we go. Okay. So we've kind of shown it here. I'll just drag these around. So we have this benefit complexity. So say proofreading and grammar checking of documents. So to me, this is pretty beneficial. I don't know how beneficial it is. Maybe I say Grammarly already does this fine, but actually having a GPT do that is a little bit easier, a little bit better, because I can just plop it in. The risk of that, incredibly low. Like if it misses a copy edit or, misses a grammar thing, not bad. So I can plop it there, right? If I say exploratory data analysis of public data, that's pretty amazing. That can be really helpful, very low risk because it's just public data. If I say a chatbot for website, maybe that's like up here. This maybe has huge potential for benefit. Also incredibly complex and incredibly risky to do, as New York City, national eating disorders, and others have observed. That what you wanted me to do at that point, Kim? Just to sort of walk that through? Yeah, okay. All right, so let's go back to our slide deck. All right. All right, so risk, is this still me, Kim?
Yes.
Okay, so risks of not using AI, to go back to the point I talked about before, this is some of the initial data that's coming out, and this is pretty exciting. So let's say, we've got Kim and Amy and I all working, in the same organization. Okay, and Amy, of course, is an A+ performer, and Kim is a B+ performer, and I'm like a C- performer, okay? And we all start using AI. What the early data starts to suggest is that Amy does get a little bit better, but not a ton, because she's already performing very, very well, and there just isn't that much room for her to get better given the current state of these systems. This may change. But look at what happens to Kim and I, right? We both move up substantially, and we're both now kind of B+, A- performers. If you think of this across, if you're a leader of an organization, think of this across your entire workforce, that's an amazing right, productivity improvement for your organization in terms of performance. So if that data holds up, right, and continues to hold, that is an amazing, amazing finding. Now, Kim and I can't speak too much to that, because Kim's always been an A+ performer and I've always been a D-, and that's still how it is. But here is what Kim and I can speak to, okay, which is that as people who've been using these tools for, going on 3 years now, that there's so much work that we get done in a given day with massively less cognitive effort. So if I needed to like write a report for an assessment project, that's something that might take me 4 to 6 hours in a given day. It's heads down. I'm really fatigued at the end of it because it's hard work. I'm pouring through notes, I'm pouring through things. But now, right, because we have a data privacy protected model, I can, and I've got Fathom AI note taker taking full transcripts of all my meetings. I plop in the transcripts of all my meetings. I plop in an outline of the things I want the report to address. I ask the AI, am I missing anything from these transcripts? Am I missing anything from these notes? Here's a sample of a report that I wrote for a different organization. That's exactly what I want this one to be, but on these topics. Can you please rewrite that for me? In about a half an hour, I'm like 80% of the way what would have taken me 4 to 6 hours before. And now I'm just doing revisions and edits and improving it. And if Amy is the customer for this, she's going to get a product in about 2 hours of my effort that's going to be 120%, right, better than what it would have taken me 6 hours to do without AI. And Kim, I don't know if you have anything different to say about that, but this is my experience over and over and over again over the last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I structure things more, I think, than Joshua does. But I think when I use like lots of data, but I think, yeah, no, so, some of our leadership, and this is not uncommon, we were talking about this a little earlier, can be a little bit pushed back about AI. And it's like, well, I could not get the stuff I'm getting done if like there are not enough hours in a day right now. So it allows me to get certain things done that I just, yeah. And nuanced ways too. Like one of our clients, we're trying to dissect the issues that come up in a certain process so that we can make it better when they put a new system in place. And so one of the things she asked me if we can do is analyze the emails going back and forth that come up when the error reports come in. Okay. Now I think I would, that's where I'd be below the 0 line, like on that. It's like, what, but that's the kind of task that like, wow.
Yeah.
So, and I could not have done that, or I could have, but it would have taken me like an entire day and a headache at the end of it. But now you verify, and there are ways to ask it to make it easier for you to verify. I was poring over New York State's privacy laws, none of which passed this past year. And looking at 8 or 9, however many they had, different privacy laws is kind of mind-boggling. I am not a lawyer, but I can have the AI do that and tell me what page and section they're getting that from, so that then I can go back and verify, because I have certain criteria that I'll look at. So an example of something that would have been mind-boggling to think about even doing. And it's kind of fun.
It is fun. And I think Amy Greenwood, just a few minutes ago, made a great point about like the way you ask the question matters so much. And I've found that like asking AI first, how do you think I should solve this problem? One of the things I'm frustrated with the current state is that it will never tell me, Josh, that's a dumb idea. It's always going to be like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. Here's like how to do that, and here's how to do that. They're designed to be very agreeable. So I'm learning to like try to keep it very open-ended and say, how would you do this? How would you solve this problem? What do you think is a good way to approach this without leading it too much? Because once I start leading it even a little bit, it's like, yes, Josh, let's go that way. And that it makes it pleasant to use, but not very rigorous, I think, sometimes. And this is just from a couple of weeks ago. I think this report came out that, if you think because, if you're a leader of an organization, and this is what Kim and I have been beating the drum on, like, and I can't stop beating the drum on this. And by the way, I was at an in-person conference last week with about 200 nonprofit leaders in an audience, and they made the mistake of giving me a live microphone before the session started. So I got to just kind of chat with the audience. So what I like to do in any live places, especially if it's leaders, is ask, like, how many of you have used like AI to like,
Josh, we're gonna get.
we're gonna get there. Oh, okay. Sorry. All right. So a lot of people are using it at work already, whether or not you have asked them to, and whether or not you've given them any guidance on how they should or shouldn't do it. All right. And they are saying it's really nice. Like, it really helps me with work-life balance. It helps me get stuff done, takes over more mundane tasks. I spend more time doing things that are more interesting to me. It is really, really interesting. Yeah. And yeah, Amy, they did introduce the nonprofit discount. It's modest, but it's something. We'll take it.
Something.
Yeah.
More than Microsoft right now, which is like, huh?
Yeah, Microsoft's like, yeah, and theirs is not very good also. Yeah. Anyway. All right, Kim.
All right, so leading an intentional AI rollout. We do go to 10:15, so we are trying to save some time for Q&A. Okay,
Yeah.
so next
This was
slide.
actually taken from a picture when I used to lead hikes at summer camp, by the way. Kim just, took my picture, and this, just kidding.
All right, so here's the question. So, and this is, I think you might go forward one. Yeah. All right, so back to the Jamboard. We'll give you the link here. Just for curiosity, how many of you are using it now? For anything work related? And if you're not, tell us. You're anonymous, so no shame. I can only see that people are like lemurs and camels and things. So.
Am I supposed to do this as well, Kim? Or we'll assume that you and me are using it for work
I think
related?
Amy, you using it? So there's like a good number.
Yeah, someone's not sure. Someone's got like on the middle.
Okay, too. All is good.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah.
I use it with Zoom and stuff like that. You get all the AI things, but I haven't really sat down and done it. But the stuff that's kind of done for me.
That
That's a great point, Don. Like, if you're asking yourself, like, okay, I've got like an AI note taker that's in my meetings now. Does that mean I'm using AI at work? Or are you asking me, have I used ChatGPT to do something at work? Or, things like that. I will leave it up to the audience to decide what you think constitutes using it for work. But that's a great point, Don.
Okay.
I
So
used it to make a birthday card for my wife.
there you
And
go.
she thought it was brilliant.
It is helpful because when I get those AI reports, like, or even because I own the Zoom account, anybody that has a Zoom meeting, I get to read the transcripts of it. And so it kind of keeps me in touch with all the things that are going on. So I kind of see the value of that, and I do use it, but I have never used it to write a report or, and that's something that I have to kind of push myself to do.
I think a lot of people think it might be cheating, like if I use it to write a report. But remember back in the day when we used to think that going on the internet to get some information was cheating? Just saying.
I can remember when using a calculator was cheating in college.
Josh is Mr. Spontaneous. He's the spontaneous to my like.
Yeah, let's see how this works. We'll see how it does. It should do pretty good at this one.
That does pretty well on
guessed
stuff like this. Forget
Yeah.
the infographic, but this kind of thing, it actually does counting the check marks.
Some of what it's doing is because I have what are called custom settings in place, and I use something that sounds technical referred to as a chain of thought, which is just telling it, I just want Matt Polipchart, now interactive
It's-
data. That is fascinating. We use Fathom for our note-taking, Ricardo. We're comfortable with Otter as well. I think what you use is largely a, but
Oops.
check the privacy policies.
Okay.
Not so good. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So bad. But and I won't spend time doing it now. If I was going to redo it, I would say count. But going back to our presentation.
Okay, so on to the next one, on to the next board, okay?
Oh, Jamboard. I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was supposed to stay on the Jamboard. Okay.
And to the next one. So
Yes.
how
I
many
see where
of you-
this, yeah.
and I'd say especially the people who voted, who said that they use it. Has your organization provided any kind of policy or guidance on the use of AI? Is that Amy?
You're still the one, Amy. You're still the one. RoundTable got in about 2 months after you, so we're 2, but we don't count when I go to things. But Amy's still the one.
Right?
And now, can I tell my story, Kim?
Yeah.
So when I do these kind of trainings in person, I really love to, especially when it's leaders, COOs, EDs, CFOs, these kind of folks. I'll ask, have you used AI to do work in the last week or two? And usually half the hands in the room go up. And then I say, okay, how many of your organizations have given you any guidance at all about what to do or what not to do with AI, what system to use, what data to put in it, what to do validation, whether you're supposed to be anything, a single word, and all the hands go down, literally 0 unless Amy Greenwood is in the room.
Someone else here who has it.
We got a second one. Who's the second one? There's another. Who is it? Are you willing to speak? Whoever actually has an AI policy at your organization or guidance? Or do you just
Hi,
put the
this
check?
is Shira Zielinski at Legal Services. We sent out an email with some information in it and are working on a policy. So I put mine in kind of in the middle because it's not a formal policy yet, but
Hey,
we said something about it. So I felt like we should get some
it
credit.
says or guidance. So you provided guidance to your staff.
Excellent. But you see how now we can go back to the deck. I think we've kind of made that point.
Yeah. And by the way, this makes me insane because we're 2 years in now. I mean, like ChatGPT came out in November of 2022.
Okay.
Right?
So I think okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is no shame, right? All right. So why do you need an AI policy? Well, that chart tells a story, but also BYO AI, bring your own AI to work. Okay. This was done of a survey of like all different kinds of companies, not just nonprofits, but like close to 80% of people are doing this. Okay. That's a lot of people. That's risk. And I think some people will avoid taking on the AI policy thing because it seems hard. And I think you can move on. I think we go right into the policy next. Yes. So we actually have a template for you for an AI policy. Great place to start. This is a cross-organizational conversation. Amy would probably agree as one who has done this, but you want to get stakeholders. You want to start the conversation. Some organizational leaders are afraid to kind of jump in because, then we're taking on all this risk by doing AI. But like, no, you're actually taking on more risk by not having a policy and not having the conversation because people are probably using AI anyway, right? So there's a template. It walks you through the different steps of creating a policy, the things you want in a policy. AI note takers, Dawn, they're in there too. That's why you can include those in policy. How do you as an organization want your staff to be using AI in a way that aligns with your values? It's not gonna go away. Yeah, and Amy, you're saying it's your existing data privacy code of conduct, all of this, you don't have to, you're not recreating the wheel here, right? A lot of this stuff exists. but you're adapting it to this technology. So we provide
Or
that
like
to you.
adding a spoke to the wheel or pumping more air in it or whatever analogy we want to use for that than it is making a whole new wheel. And Kathy makes a great point, which is one thing I always love to say. One of the best things that these Gen AI things are doing really boring, mundane tasks like writing policies. They're fantastic at it. And if we have time, I'll sort of demo my favorite current use case, which for folks who like talking more than writing and like talking and walking around more than sitting at a computer, but can get some thinking done, I will show you how you could just talk to an AI and maybe get an AI policy drafted for your organization. So if we have time for that, we'll see.
While you're out on a walk, right? So yeah, so the next slide, just these are the kinds of questions that you'll ask. And yes, you will get the slides, right, Amy, and the recording from this. But these are the kinds of questions that you ask. It's healthy to have the conversation, right? You want to think about what tools you're going to use, you know, how do we deal with our own data, and basically what's the review process. The privacy side, as Josh said, and we'll go through this part quickly because I think we are running slow on time. So personal information of people, okay, still applies. Drop it into AI, you've kind of given it away. If you put information into an enterprise system like ChatGPT Team, Claude now has a team version, and Microsoft Copilot in your enterprise, then you are more protecting of it. I'm because I'm a data privacy nerd, okay, I still go the next mile, and I will get rid of names, as you know, but that's just
Jim,
me.
I realized I completely lost track of time. So it's at 10 now. I'm not sure how long we're
Yeah, no,
supposed
we
to go.
go until 10:15. So
So we've got a little bit of time. We are way behind. Just
yes, we're
FYI.
way behind.
Yeah.
We're going into our Q&A. Dawn, we're just okay. Did you have
I'll wait till the Q&A.
So just know that on any of the public or free tools, the privacy ends at your prompt. In other words, what you put into it, it becomes part of the training data set is what happens, right? So you add a prompt, and we went through this whole diagram in the first session, but basically it all becomes part of the data set. And that's part of how these things work. What you're paying for is to not have your stuff go into the training data set. Someone did ask the question, if you paid for an account, but then you stop paying, will they then use your data? I suspect that would be in, terms of use, that would be a no, but that's certainly something to question. So just know that, so training and AI policy implementation, and Amy, I will say it was exemplary in this area, right? You could teach this class. So basically one of the things that we found helpful, start with survey. Are people already using it? Right? Then developing a policy that will help inform that. And then train around the policy, not for hours, but even a RoundTable, we did like a 10-15 minute recorded training so that anyone starting, this is our policy on AI. We've explained a little bit about AI in it, and then you actually do AI training. And I do recommend doing a training at your organization so that everyone's on the same page on how to use the tools. Okay, I think we go to you, Josh, on
Yeah, and I think we're gonna skip through this because I want to get through I want to kind of actually just jump into our Jamboard. So, and then we'll kind of talk through, and Dawn, you can ask your question now while we're doing this. So let's, if everybody goes back to the Jamboard, you go to frame number 6 on it. It's all the same Jamboard link, so you can just go to the one that we popped in previously, or though we can't find it, we can pop it in. What we wanted to do, so the way these little Post-its work, in case you're not sure, is you just grab one. If you want to change the color of it, you have 5 options, and you just click the colors, and then you just write over an idea. So I say I could draft an AI policy, right? And that would be text creation, and there we go. So what we want is just for folks to brainstorm, right? What tasks could AI augment or perform for you at your organization, or personal life? I think that's fine too. right? And you can think of ideas that aren't under these categories and, just plop it somewhere else, I think, if you have something else. And then Dawn, do you want to ask your question now? Go ahead. Oh, you got to unmute though. Yeah.
I couldn't get there fast enough. Okay, so like for us, I'm a child care center, and so the teachers have to write tons of reports about kids, and it takes them hours and hours to write these reports on each child. So if you were to take like their assessments that they kind of do a check off by hand, and if you had a paid version, I guess, and downloaded those documents in and said, please write a report, but you didn't put the child's name. So again, you're not worrying about privacy. Write a report. Is that kind of how you would use this? I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to
I
understand.
have to learn more about that process. So part of the work that Kim and I do, as engagements with organizations, is kind of look at their workflows and sort of say, okay, what would be an effective way to sort of bring AI into this process that's safe, ethical, but useful, right? So I'd need to understand more, but let me make some assumptions and then I can tell you how I'd approach it. So I am a childcare instructor and I have 20 kids, and every month I have to write a 2-page report to the parents about what that kid has been doing. I have some notes, I have maybe some just thoughts in my head, maybe there's some data there, right? And this is a very laborious process for me. The teachers hate it. It's a lot of work. They can't do it during the day because they've got kids around, so they have to do it at night when they're with their own families, so it's really annoying. So if I could automate this to produce good quality reports in a more automated fashion, I would want to talk to the teachers about, first of all, how can they collect data over the period of the month so that it will be easy for the AI system to sort of take it and produce a report from that, right? To minimize their work, right? But still have it reflect accurate information. Then I would set up a prompt, right? Or if you're using GPT, you can make a GPT, which is sort of like a custom, instance. But even just a prompt that says, here's like the sample of a report, that this is exactly what we want to look like. You're going to do these steps. You're going to review the documents I uploaded. You're going to ask these 4 questions, and then you're going to generate a report, right? And then spit it out as a Word document. Okay. Then I would make sure that the instructors know you're going to be very tempted to not read these carefully. You have to. You cannot, under any circumstances, hand this report that came out of the system to a parent without having read every word and validated that it is okay. Period. Full stop. You will lose your job if you do that, right? That would become critically important to that process. And said, but hey, but this is going to save you 20 hours a month, maybe. And the parents are going to get really nice reports, right? So.
Okay, great.
Does that help, Don?
It does help.
Okay.
It sounds like I have to hire you to come train us.
Well, that is what, I mean, Kim, there's a reason Kim and I do these webinars.
Of course it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I was at dinner a couple nights, like last weekend, and I was talking to someone who was like an educational judge, right? So she adjudicates cases around special ed and for the state of New York. And we were talking about IEPs, right? Individualized education plans, which are like the most tedious things in the world to write, right? And could you use AI for that? And it's like, well, you could use it for formatting. It's not going to take the place of like a person-to-person interaction or the nuance, right? So that's where you're truly kind of collaborating. If it's the format stuff, like I will never write another bullet point again in my life from a paragraph of my own text. Never. The AI does it better. Seriously. But so formatting things are okay. But I think, and that's where it's important to have a policy. It's important to have to have the discussions in the organization, like what is okay? What's okay by our organizational standards? All right, so now I do.
Real quick, I want to ask Shira or any other folks that work in legal services or are lawyers on the session today. One of the areas where the benefit risk is like the most sharp to me on both sides is around these AI note takers, these Fathom and Otter and other note takers that are in these meetings. because they are so useful. Like it has really transformed the way like Kim and I do stuff, because we have a lot of like clients who are having weekly sessions, assessment projects, VCIO engagements. So we have the recorder there. It generates a wonderful summary for us. We send that as a follow-up. It's got all the takeaways. If I'm like, what was I supposed to do from this meeting? I can go read it in the transcript. It's amazing. On the flip side, on the risk side, we are creating amounts of discoverable information that opposing litigators would just like be foaming at the mouth at how much discoverable information is getting created by organizations these days. And I don't know, Shira, if you've thought about this or have, feelings about it, or any other legal folks, but that's an area that's very sharp for me that we're struggling with the organizations that we work with. Anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't mean to, I hope I didn't come across as glib before when I said this, because what we're trying to tell people right now is do not put any personal client information, even without names, into AI, because AI can learn, right? And so if you have enough specific information, we don't want AI figuring out who you're talking about. And then so yeah, so we're very, very concerned about that. Any kind of legal strategy information, we're trying to get people to stay away from, because the security risks are really scary. So that, that's kind of been our guidance so far, is be very, very careful about this.
Thank you, Shira.
Thank you.
All right, Kim, now go ahead and.
Well, so
ahead.
this was the next step in this task, right? So we kind of brainstorm, and this is what you do at your organizations. So of these things, of these use cases that we think we have for AI, right? Where are these different things in terms of the benefit or risk or complexity to do, right? Like high benefit and risk here being you have to review it, right? Like with the, for job things, you want to make sure it's in line with like labor regulations and stuff like that. So you want to think about, what are the levels of review? Don't ever ask AI for a quote, by the way. It's the other thing. The infographics, it's terrible at quotes. It's poetic. It gives you the best thing that the person never said. So I learned that lesson early in AI.
So what I'm doing now is just based on my own read of these, is putting them where I sort of intuit they belong, based on how much benefit I think this would bring to a person or an organization that's posting it, and how difficult and or risky I think it would be to do. So I think drafting an AI policy is incredibly easy and has tremendous benefit, and is extremely low risk, because you are taking on all the risk now by not having a policy. I have a hard time imagining how you would generate more risk by having a policy, even if it's not a very good one. It's just like not having a policy at all has got to be worse than that. So that's like, to me, the highest one. Something like pulling out insights from large data sets, including to point us in direction for further analysis, that is really beneficial, but also fraught with peril, that it could give you wrong insights that then you follow, that it turns out were because the data analyzed was wrong. There's just a lot of ways that could go wrong. Meeting notes I've been talking about, I think huge benefits, but also a lot of risk. And I'm just sort of placing them where I, would put them.
It's great at doing rubrics, creating them. If you give it the things it needs, filling one out, I don't know how good it would be.
But this is like such an easy exercise to do at your organization. If you imagine getting a group of folks at your organization together, giving them a 10-minute intro of like, let's think of all the kinds of things we could do. You've had this session today, and now you come out with a handful of things that have a lot of benefit, that are pretty easy, that are relatively low risk. Go do this stuff, and you're going to learn. And you're going to get better at using these systems. And then as you kind of have a better sense, you can start taking on some of these harder things, right? It really is that easy. I mean, it's, yeah.
One of the slides that we went through, and you'll get the slide deck, is like Ethan Malik, and there's links to his stuff in there, his 10-hour rule. Like to learn AI and to get to feel comfortable, spend about 10 hours on it. That one. Right. And that's that I found to be a really helpful article. The onboarding your AI intern, when it was written in like the Stone Age of AI back in May 2023. But you know, his blog is quite wonderful, as is, before we run out of time, Deb Stolagros. And yeah.
And Amy, can people hire you out to do AI policy implementations for their organizations, or are you spoken for?
I think I'm mostly spoken for, but happy to chat.
All right. But she's still the only person we know who's actually done it. 2 years in. So anyway.
So
right.
I hope this has helped.
See, we have 2 minutes. We can do questions. If people want to see the use case that I talk about, I'm happy to do a very quick demo of that. This is like a daily activity for me now.
Unfortunately, I have a 10-15 thing I have to hop
Oh,
to.
you got to jump. Okay. All right.
But Josh, if you can stay, that's.
I'm happy to stay. Yeah.
I have a question. If
Please.
I'm using it for, not for anything personal or anything, but there are documents that I'm trying to get off of my computer, for, let's say, and I want to use them in something that I'm working on. Does it, it seems as though I right now what I'm doing is copying the document and then pasting it into the question so that it gets used that way. But will AI just find the document if I just say, look in my, staff folder or whatever?
Not really yet, but you can upload it to ChatGPT or Claude.
That's what I've been doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the best
Well,
way
no, you
not
don't
to,
have to copy
won't
and
search
paste
for
it.
it.
You can attach it like as a document. So you don't have to copy paste. You can actually attach a document.
Yeah, well, I think I've done it both ways, but I think I did discover what you're saying. But if I actually asked it to go find the document, it's not going to do that, right?
No, not yet.
quite
No.
there
I'm
yet.
sure those
Okay.
kind of
That's coming.
integrations are coming, but those are
Okay.
very fraught with peril as well. Because imagine that the AI has to access all of those documents to be able to go find it for you. And now
Right.
where is that data going? Have we just basically given OpenAI all of
Yeah,
our
a lot.
company organizational data for their training model?
Right, exactly. Thank you very much. Thank you for this. All
Yeah.
of your presentations have been amazing, so helpful.
Thank you.
But,
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We totally love it, Joshua and Kim, for taking us through this, and we love the leapfrog or the frogs metaphor through the whole thing. Thank you so much, everyone. I don't know if you guys have a few words before we close off.
Thank you, Kim. This has been an amazing
The
series.
original AI.
Josh, thank you.
so we'll give you resources and links, and Amy, you'll send out the recordings, right? So we'll kind of package it all up. And use AI and just, use it thoughtfully.
Exactly.
Practice.
All right.
Hours.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.